Straight on then to the Gaia Touring Car race here at Macau, and on pole position is Bernd Schneider for Mercedes-Benz.
So bumpy the circuit, especially with this heavy car. And also have so much fast corners, and with Formula 3 it's easy flat. With this car it's very, very hard, and it's exciting, and it's also big fun, but you need some laughs.
We have a long race, and I think it's a good idea to let saloon car race for so long. Normally in Europe we've got short races, so there's a lot of tactic involved, and you've got to keep the tire fresh, the brake fresh, and preserve the car and preserve yourself, because physically it's really hard, especially for us who haven't got the power steering.
The ever-popular, ever-friendly Emanuele Pirro. Very much the favourite to win this race, but he's on the second row of the grid after an electrical problem in qualifying. So it's an all-Mercedes front row. Bernd Schneider and Klaus Ludwig. Bernd Schneider on pole and Ludwig alongside him. An all-silver front row, but the BMWs lurk behind. Schneider very slow away. That puts Ludwig into the lead, and Emanuele Pirro made a real flyer from the second row. Now, are we going to see Pirro alongside Ludwig as they head down towards the right-hander at Lisboa? We are riding now with Ellen Law in the Mercedes. Everybody safely away from the start. It's Ludwig, Klaus Ludwig, who leads from Emanuele Pirro from the second row, and it looks like Hassemi in the Nissan in third place. So an appalling start from Bernd Schneider in the Mercedes off the pole position. He was absolutely mighty in qualifying, Bernd Schneider, but he threw away that pole, and it's allowed Klaus Ludwig to lead for Mercedes, but Emanuele Pirro in the Schnitzer BMW is right with him. We see the action from the cockpit of Ellen Law's Mercedes. She has the Portuguese driver, Ni Amarin, right in front of her. Now this is a titanic battle between Mercedes and BMW. Both are desperate to win. There's going to be a new AMG dealership on Macau, and Mercedes are here in force. They have 4 cars entered, and they are absolutely determined to beat BMW. But don't forget, Emanuele Pirro won this race last year. He knows Macau almost better than anybody in a touring car, and he is very, very determined to win. Ellen Law trying to get alongside Ni Amarin. But touring cars are big cars on a circuit like this. Very, very difficult to overtake. About the only place to pass in a touring car is at the end of the straight, going into the Lisboa right-hander. Look at Pirro, he's absolutely on the limit. Ellen Law tries to get inside Ni Amarin, but she won't. Amarin just kisses the barrier with the back of the Mercedes there. This really is fantastic stuff as they come down into the Melco hairpin. No overtaking here, follow my leader. Ellen Law takes us now off down the hill, up through the gearbox towards the waterfront and the long, long flat-out section towards the start-finish line. Very, very bumpy, as you can see. One tiny mistake and you're in the wall. Pirro staying right with Klaus Ludwig. Both of these guys extremely experienced, of course, in touring cars. They come from the German Touring Car Championship. Emanuele Pirro has had a terrible season. It must be the worst season of his career. And he's very, very, very determined to win this race, both for himself and for BMW. He's tucked up right behind Klaus Ludwig now as they go down the long, long, never-ending straight through the mighty right-hander outside. Whoa, and Pirro nearly clouts the barrier, but he's right on the boot lid of Klaus Ludwig. Now, can he get through into the Lisboa? He has a look. He's not close enough. He decides wisely to tuck back in behind the Mercedes. So it's Ludwig who still leads as they head towards San Francisco and the long hill up towards the top of the town. Somebody out already. An unforgiving circuit, this. There are oil flags showing. Now this could be crucial. Emanuele Pirro has another look down into the Lisboa, but Klaus Ludwig holds the lead. There are oil flags. Whoa, it's slippery. There's a lot of oil on the circuit. Ludwig nearly hits the barrier. And Ludwig is slow into San Francisco. He's slow out and Pirro's alongside. This is going to be a big argument. Whoa, and Ludwig has lost it. Pirro somehow manages to avoid him, heaven knows how. And that is the end of Klaus Ludwig's race. The Mercedes is very bent indeed. Now, we have to see that again, but Pirro was alongside Ludwig as they came out of San Francisco to accelerate up the hill. One thing is for sure, Klaus Ludwig is going to be a very unhappy man. Emanuele Pirro, and there's the remains of the Mercedes. Ludwig climbing slowly out. He will be extremely upset. I would not have thought that was an overtaking place. Emanuele Pirro obviously thought it was and forced his way by. We see it again. Now look at this. Out of San Francisco Bend. Ludwig is slow out of the corner. There's a lot of oil down. And Pirro is very quick on the throttle. He jinks out from behind the Mercedes and is well alongside as they start to climb the hill. But Ludwig is edging him towards the stone wall on the outside. Ludwig is holding his line. He must have seen Pirro. He could not have missed him. And what happens is that Ludwig tries to shut the door on Pirro. They touch. The Merc goes into the wall. Pirro stands on the brakes, swerves left, and somehow manages to avoid the wreckage of the Mercedes on the left-hand side of the circuit, but that must have damaged Pirro's BMW. I can't believe that Pirro could have escaped from that without some damage to the Schnitzer BMW. But this is bad news for Mercedes. BMW now first and second. Nissan is third. Mercedes fourth, fifth and sixth. There they are. Schneider, Armarin, Lohr. And somebody else joins the car park. Well, parked up very neatly behind the remains of Ludwig's Mercedes. And look at this. There is a tremendous battle going on now between Elin Lohr and Nie Armarin. Bernd Schneider is ahead of them. The Mercedes team will want better than this. They can ill afford to lose any more cars. They've lost the Klaus Ludwig, the leader. And this is Elin Lohr fighting with Bernd Schneider. She's alongside him and she's going to pass him, or is she? No, Nie Armarin holds the line. Nie Armarin holds his racing line and forces Elin Lohr to tuck in behind him. But the German lady is extremely determined. And can she do it? Down to the Lisboa. Tremendous shots from the inside of the Mercedes. You can see how close they are to these barriers. Really is absolutely electrifying touring car racing, this. Elin Lohr gets alongside Armarin as they go down into the Lisboa. And can she do it as they accelerate out towards San Francisco? Yes, she can. She's put one over Armarin there. And he had to settle for that. And will he do a Pirro? No, he can't. Well, he tries to get alongside up the hill, but he thought better of it. So Elin Lohr takes the place from Nie Armarin, but I don't believe it. There's another Mercedes in the barrier, and it's Elin Lohr's car. Well, she must have been so excited at passing Nie Armarin that she went far too quickly. That's up at Moorish Hill there. Up at the top of the hill, she's gone too quickly into the right-hander and put the Mercedes in the barrier on the outside. So, Armarin retakes the place after less than half a lap. Yep, I think Elin Lohr just really went too quickly into the corner. So, this is turning out to be an absolute disaster for Mercedes. BMW now in control of the race. Emanuele Pirro leads. Next up is Joachim Winkelhock. Then it's Roberto Ravaglia. So now Mercedes honours are left to Bernd Schneider, the man who got pole position for this race, the man who impressed us all so much in qualifying, a former Formula One driver, of course, Bernd Schneider. And now Mercedes are relying on him to try and retrieve something from this Gaia touring car race here at Macau. Klaus Ludwig out, Elin Lohr out, and only Bernd Schneider and Nie Armarin left in for Mercedes. And look at Schneider, he's really trying. He's throwing this Mercedes around. The very latest evolution of this car. The BMW, well, that's a 5-year-old car now, really. This BMW M3, it produces tremendous horsepower at very high revs. But it's coming to the end of its racing life. They'll be going down to Wellington in New Zealand for the touring car race down there after Macau, but it really is near the end of its racing life now, the BMW. But it's Pirro who leads for the second year running from Winkelhock, Ravaglia, But the man to watch is Bernd Schneider in the Mercedes-Benz. This really is the man of the race at the moment. He's absolutely going for it. He's got Ravalia in his sights as they come down to the Lisboa right-hander. They've got a back marker in front of them. Will Schneider try it here? He will. Surely he cannot do it. The car is virtually out of control, but Schneider somehow makes it down the inside of Roberto Ravalia, and now he sets off after Joachim Winkelhock. So Mercedes now in third position, and this is all they can hope for unless Schneider can get on terms with Winkelhock ahead of him. We see it again at the end of the straight. Bernd Schneider so late on the brakes, the car is almost sideways, absolutely on the brink of going out of control there, Bernd Schneider, but somehow he manages to keep it all together and puts the BMW behind him. But the Schnitzer team still lead, of course, Emanuele Pirro. And, oh, the track is slippery, there's a lot of oil down. And Bernd Schneider, having dealt with Roberto Ravalia, has now got his sights on Joachim Winkelhock. Now, Winkelhock will have seen Schneider in the mirror. He will see how far Schneider is going, and he'll be thinking, well, he's either going to go off or he's going to pass me, because the Mercedes really is on the ragged, ragged edge. So it's Pirro from Winkelhock, from Schneider, from Ravalia. Now, the Mercedes has dealt with Ravalia's BMW. Can it deal with Winkelhock's BMW and try and salvage something from this meeting for the three-pointed star? No problems for Emanuele Pirro. He doesn't seem to have suffered any serious damage from that clash with Klaus Ludwig. I would have thought he must have bent either the steering or the suspension, but Pirro seems to be in a comfortable lead. We expected a better fight from Hassemi's Nissan than this. Hassemi obviously has pretty serious engine problems. The Nissan has been smoking for several laps now. So there's no one to touch Pirro in the lead. Yep, that's Hassemi's Nissan cruising down off the racing line. Blue smoke pouring out of the back. I think that must be the end of the race for the extremely spectacular Nissan of Masahiro Hassemi. Here's the battle that we want to see, though. Joachim Winkelhock in the BMW and Bernd Schneider really, really trying in the Mercedes. How much longer can this... Oh, well... I'm afraid it almost had to happen. Bernd Schneider was trying so hard to get on terms with Winkelhock. He just lost it coming into San Francisco Bend. You can see what happened. He got very slightly offline. There's oil on the road there. And the third Mercedes has been destroyed against the barrier. Ludwig out, Ellen Law out, and now Bernd Schneider puts a Mercedes into the wall. An absolute disaster for the Silver Machines, especially on this, an important weekend for them in Macau. So now the local hero, Ni Armarin. The Portuguese driver, Ni Armarin, is the only Mercedes left in the race, and he'd better not fall off, or there will be very, very loud weeping and gnashing of teeth in the Mercedes pit if there isn't already. It looks like a landslide victory for BMW, this. Look at it. Pirro, Winkelhock, Ravalia, 1, 2, 3. For BMW, Ni Armarin in the sole surviving Mercedes in fourth, and a good drive from John Wilson in the BMW M3 in fifth position. John Wilson out here, of course, to race his Ferrari in the supercar race, which he very nearly won, by the way, from Kevin Wong until an altercation on the last lap. Well, there's Masahiro Hassemi's Nissan. That is not going any further, I fear. Terminal engine problems for the Nissan. Look at this. This is a Mercedes car park. The Macau Grand Prix circuit is turning into a car park for dead Mercedes. The BMWs are having to thread their way through the silver wreckage, and that must give them even more satisfaction. It looks as though it's almost certainly going to be a 1, 2, 3 for Team Schnitzer Mobile BMW. Emanuele Pirro in the lead from Joachim Winkelhock. There they are, Winkelhock and Roberto Ravalia. Rivals in the Touring Car Series, of course. And Joachim Winkelhock can always be relied on to put on a spectacular display in a touring car. It looks as though Ravalia is trying to take the position from him, though. I don't know if there are any team orders. Certainly Pirro is going to win it, but it looks to me like Ravalia is trying to grab second place from Joachim Winkelhock. Let's hope they don't take each other off. That really would spoil a magnificent day for BMW. They're extremely close. Look at this, and they've got a back marker in front of them. Emanuele Pirro is going to take a tremendous victory for the second year running here at Macau. Checkered flag for the very, very popular, and rightly so, Italian driver. Always ready with a smile and a joke, and happy to talk to everybody, Emanuele. His wife not here this weekend. She's expecting their baby, so he'll be going off to New Zealand on his own, Emanuele Pirro, to race the BMW down there in Wellington. But Joachim Winkelhock took second position from Roberto Ravalia, so an absolutely tremendous 1-2-3 for BMW and a disaster for Mercedes. So as they line up across the circuit, we reach the end of a magnificent weekend's motor racing in Macau. Bike racing, car racing. If you haven't been to Macau, you must make every effort to get there. Bye-bye.